Okay, guys, we're going to look at Act 5, Scene 5. A short scene, but a very moving and meaningful scene. Here we have Macbeth's final soliloquies in the play, and the general theme that we're looking at today is his conclusion that life is meaningless. All right, he is alone here. Remember prior line when he said, "Let all the thanes fly and leave me. I don't care." Now he is in the sort of he's vacillating between kind of two states in this scene, where he's acting like he's invincible on one hand, and then yet he knows he's not. So he's screaming out, and then he'll have moments of very serious contemplations. So at the beginning here, he's definitely hollering out, "Hang out the banners! The cry is still, they're coming!" So he knows that the forces are coming to rebel against him. I think perhaps, saying that the castle's strength will laugh a siege to scorn is just him trying to convince himself that they can just laugh this off. Let the famine and ague eat them up. So he's wishing, the worst upon people. If he's wishing he could have met them dareful beard to beard, which would mean, with some sort of kind of, great power, but he knows that there's no way he can do that because he is utterly alone. He has been deserted. All right. The cry comes then of all the women in the castle, and he pauses and asks what that noise is. And here is, of course, kind of the part where you're like, oh, wow, Lady Macbeth gets one line, she's dead. "The Queen, my lord, is dead," because that's what they have cried. Now, before that line, though, let's look at these lines right here. They're very, very, very important. Okay. I have almost forgot the taste of fears. The time has been my senses would have cooled to hear a night shriek, and my fell of hair would at a dismal treatise rouse and stir as life were in it. So he has become, what would you say here? If you can no longer even know what it feels like to be fearful, you no longer are even moved. Your fell of hair is not even roused and stirred. Then you have become completely callous, right? Even indifferent. Perhaps, even apathetic. So, I know I'm just doing a bunch of synonyms, but that's the point, all right? Okay, nothing can start you anymore, right? So nothing can move you to feeling any sort of grief or anything else. You're basically numb. Excuse me. Then the line does come that I mentioned a minute ago. "The Queen, my lord, is dead." All right. Very important lines follow here, too. Another little soliloquy we have. "She should have died hereafter." Wow. In your book, it gives you an explanation there. It says, "at a riper old age," or "later when we had time to mourn." I think here what you're noticing is that there's another sign here of a lack of concern for her. But maybe I think there's a little bit more of a combination of meanings here. That if he wasn't in the middle of a battle, right, or then he would have time to mourn. So that's one part. whoops, time to mourn. Okay. And then I think there's perhaps a second meaning that this one is the one I tend to lean toward, and that is that he is now realizing that the time will never come. Time will never come for him to win. He is reflective to me here on, what could have been. Okay. I think these are the most important lines in the play here, these that follow. And they, while they are extremely sad, they also challenge us. So I want to talk about that today. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. So what does that sound like? You just do what over and over again? The next day and the next day and the next day is just one petty day after day. And the pace of life, if you will, becomes, what does petty mean? As we started our lesson today, it's meaningless. Okay? So now that I know I will not win, I'm thinking what could have been, and I realize it can't be anymore. It's not going to happen. Then what difference does it make at this point? How I feel, what I think. I'm at that point where I don't believe our time here on this earth matters. All our even our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. So there's no purpose to this life other than to get to the end of it, which is to die. Out, brief candle. I think this is really symbolic here. So if you think about how a candle, this is a bit literal, but I think it has some value. The candle, when it goes out, when it burns down, it does that naturally, right? And it burns out at its own pace and in its own time, and it lives its full life, if you will. Okay. If it is a brief candle, however, then that would suggest that the candle was extinguished early. So that is, of course, very similar to Macbeth's life, which has been extinguished, or is about to be. I'm doing a period there, Macbeth's life. This is getting messy. Macbeth's life has also been extinguished, right? Okay. So like Macbeth's life is what that says. Okay. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. All right. This is, think about what is a poor player? A poor player is the actor, right? He just comes out, struts and frets his hour on the stage, and then he's heard no more. So his time on the stage, literally, he's saying, doesn't even affect people. It's heard no more. It's ineffective. So life, as well, is just for us to come, just to live, and then no one will ever hear of us again. No one will talk about our life or the play that we have put on in our life. How sad is that? It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Okay. This is a line taken from a Faulkner novel, but called Sound and Fury. I'm not going to get into that, but just FYI. The idiot reference there also has to do with that, but we don't need a lesson on that. You should read that book, though. And now we see that the saddest, that he's in the saddest place a human being could ever be. In this next part, of course, we know the prophecy, so we are ready for exactly what is announced, that the wood began to move, okay, that he looked toward Burnham, and the wood is moving. So remember, the prophecy stated that, to high Dunson and Hill, Burnham Wood, all that. So literally, what's happened is the army, okay, is coming, and the wood are the branches they have cut down for camouflage, if you will. All right. He screams out, and this is where you see him going crazy. He's literally mad at this point. He calls his messenger a liar and slave, and the messenger's like, "No, I'm not kidding. This is really happening. It's a moving grove." Okay. And he again just speaks out against his messenger and says, "If you're lying, then up on the next tree shall you hang alive." Okay, so till famine cling thee. So he's again just holding on to one little sliver of hope he may have left. But he says, "If thy speech be sooth, if it's true, then I don't even care. I'm just going to pull in resolution and doubt. I'm still going to doubt the equivocation of the fiend. Oh wait, but no, I'm not. I'm going to doubt the equivocation of the fiend that lies like truth." So this is, of course, just like temptation, or even the devil, who lies like truth. Lies. Well, so you have here again the reference to him falling to those forces. And he screams out the prophecy again, "Fear not, till Burnham Wood do come to Dunsinane, and now it's coming." And so I'm going to do the best I can here, but I begin to be weary of the sun, meaning, tomorrow when the sun arises, because I know I'm not going to be here. And so since that's true, I'm just going to wish the whole world was now undone. So, and again, just wishing the greatest harm upon the world itself. At least we'll die, he says, blow wind, come rack, at least we'll die with harness on our back. Of course, there aren't many people with him, so I'm not sure who we is. But the idea is that he's going to try and just face what is coming. What I want to leave you with is what I always share with my students at this time when we're in school. So I'm going to try not to get weepy. And that is that soliloquy where he talks about tomorrow and tomorrow. And tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. And that I realize that sometimes we may feel like that. But that what the tragedy does for us is remind us that life only becomes meaningless I said meaningless. I don't know if that was my email. Life only becomes meaningless when we have not lived it like we should. When we have not let the candle go out, burn out naturally. So what we can do with this life then is not just strut and fret our hour upon the stage, and then not be heard of anymore. What we can do in that hour, and that is a brief time. Think about it. Life is brief, and that's another meaning of that section. of that soliloquy, that life is very brief and what we do does matter. How many times, think about it, have you been touched by someone and it was a rather brief encounter? So you can make a difference. You can live a life where you do not end it feeling like it is just one petty day after another petty day. That is a depressing, kind of horrible way to exist. So my challenge to all of you is to remember that there is something you can do with your life, and you know that. It has worth, and I hope daily you find more and more about what it is that you are put on this earth to do. God does have a plan for you. All right. Have a great day.